Hey, it's Kendra and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys digital portraits or vector drawings of animals and pets. I'm doing this on my iPad Pro and I am using Procreate for the digital portraits. I've already shown how I do people for digital portraits and vector drawings, so I thought it would be really fun today to show you guys how I do pets with my dog Luna. Before we get into this video though, make sure you are subscribed to my channel down below and let's get right into it. So I just start by importing a photo into Procreate and then I add in a layer, so I start the vector drawing on this other layer just so I can erase and it doesn't actually erase the photo. I would always make more layers than you think you would need. I tend to not add enough layers, so I'm trying to get better at this, just remembering to add a new layer each time I add in different elements. But back to the drawing, I add in the smaller details of the entire face first. So I started with the eyes, I did the nose, and now I'm moving on to the mouth. And you're seeing here, I'm starting with the different colors of the tongue and I'm putting a little dot over to the side so I can grab that color. If you just hold your finger down on a color in Procreate, it color matches it. I did start by just making the tongue one color and it just looked really weird since there was no like darkness in the back of her mouth. So I decided to do a couple of different colors and then I blend it together with the blending tool, and you can just kind of like mush them together however looks most natural. You can also use like Gaussian blur, but I like to just use this touch-up tool to blend them together. The trick to these vector drawings and digital portraits is to color match as closely as possible. And if you think a color looks a little bit odd because there's a highlight there or something, just go with your gut and adjust as needed, but try to color match as much as possible. And another tip, if you draw an outline and drag the color inside, it fills it in, but as you can see I was really struggling with that, so just make sure all of the ends are touching. And since Luna has so many different colors on her face, I did kind of go off of the photo, but also in places where I like know her fur color really. I kind of added in those colors where I know they should be and what's most realistic. So she has a little mask, kind of like a raccoon, so I added that in. And since she has so many different colors, I tried to just use the most predominant color for each different marking. And if you're doing this for a friend or you want to start selling them, I would suggest asking people for multiple photos of a dog just so you can kind of get a better grasp of what their actual colors are. And I wanted this part to be a little bit neater, so I just used the orange color to make a straight line on her ears because I didn't like how uneven it looked. And as I said earlier, she has a lot of different colors. She's definitely not just an orange Shiba, so I just went through and tried to color match as best as possible. And for this little harness, if you actually draw a rough shape in Procreate and then hold your Apple Pencil down, you can select different shapes. So I did this for a rectangle, so I didn't have to draw that out painstakingly. And this harness does have like little dots in it, but I just went and tried to do as solid as color possible because I didn't want to sit there adding in a ton of dots. And it took a little while to figure out how to get the kind of fuzzy aspect of her fur. I used a lot of different pens and I just ended up using the technical pen and just did a lot of different strokes. This did take a long time. I was watching some TV while I did this, but I used this for this section of brown fur because it wasn't a solid color and it just looked really weird having a solid brown stripe there. So I kind of played around with that until I liked the texture of it. And how I'm blending them together is I'm just going into each different section and doing those little strokes down into the section below it. So this dark brown color, I'm doing these little strokes onto the white. For the orange, I'm doing the strokes onto the brown. And I found that it blended together the different colors really well rather than doing the touch-up tool to blend them together. This looked a lot more natural. And I'm going around the edge of her fur and making these little lines so it looks like she has her fuzzy fur, especially you can see it in the sunlight. This again, yeah, took a long time, but it ended up looking really, really good against a solid color that I will use for the background later on. And I'm just going to speed through the face again, just since I did this in my last video. You can check that out down below. I'll have it linked. A note for Alex's beard. So it looked weird doing the dark hair. You can notice I did the same thing in the video previously. So I do a lighter color so it looks like it's some lighter hair against his skin, since you can see his skin through his beard. And I decided to highlight his nose this time a little bit more. I didn't do this in the first video, so I really like how this defines his face a bit. I also added some more details to his shirt this time, so I wanted to put in those folds a little bit, so I just color matched the darker color with the lighter one, and it actually looked really good. I love how this turned out. It gives his shirt more interest and looks more realistic, so just try and color match as best as possible. And also, side note, I did just draw over the poo bag in this one because I didn't really want to include that in the illustration, so I just decided to match that to Alex's shirt where I thought it would be, and just mix it into the background later on. And Luna's back feet ended up being a little tricky just because I did draw over the poo bag, so I kind of had to, her toes really mixed in with the bag, so I had to find where her toes were and trying to find that as much as possible. And I again went with a solid background this time. I did a light green because green is Alex's favorite color, and I loved how it looked against the pink harness. This is just really nice to add a solid background so the interest is on the vector drawings and the digital illustration. So I would suggest that if you're doing these so the focus is on the subject. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you try this out, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!